Big Drive Energy Wednesday edition pre-Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Pre-Pebble Beach Pro-Am, first signature event of 2026. PGA Tour season just rolling along, and man, I just hope we get one as exciting as last weekend was with the Waste Management. Hopefully not as heartbreaking, but as exciting. We're going to do Mitch's player profile today as well. A little bit more of a high-key player since it is a signature event and there's a smaller field. Going to talk about Tiger Woods' son, Charlie, making his commitment to college. And, of course, as always, on a Wednesday, we've got WTF Wednesday. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Wednesday Hump Day edition. What's up, Migsy? How you doing? I'm in a salad craving phase right now, and it's all your fault. I just keep eating salads for lunch every day, and I'm enjoying the shit out of it, to be honest.
Honestly, I actually heard that salads are bad for you. Like, have you seen this whole Chinese thing going around TikTok? And I'm not saying like it's actually, they say it's like Chinese old world knowledge bullshit where they drink nothing cold and they eat nothing cold because it slows down your digestive system, I guess. So they say that salads are actually like, they're obviously good for you, but you don't digest them nearly as well because they're cold versus like, that kind of coincides with the fact that I've been on this warm food kick now for a minute. I just downed some ramen. That shit. Is there ever a bad time to eat ramen? Like, and it is legitimately 40 cents a pack. Like, I think it was $2.50 for 6 pouches of it, and that will feed families. Like, I choose to eat that. You know what I mean? It is gas, and especially with your sodium intake, your love for sodium, I know that you're all about that ramen life.
Well, ramen gives me a tummy ache big time. Ramen and the glutens in the ramen. But it's actually funny because D-Line, Eric from work, he had a funny tweet the other day talking about ramen, and he goes, "Man, look, it's nice to see how far you've come. I used to eat ramen in college for like 20 cents a package with some boiled water. And now I've upgraded to eating $20 bowls of said ramen." And it was like a picture of him in a ramen spot. It's so funny because it is on the surface level such a discounted food. It is literally probably the cheapest meal that you can find anywhere in the world, getting a bowl of ramen or a package of top ramen, making it, and the easiest thing to make ever too. And then now there's ramen restaurants where the prices just keep going insane because they add a fucking hard-boiled egg and some pork belly and some arugula to it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you just cannot go wrong with ramen. There's this place down the street from us called Let's Noodle, and I've actually never been, but it's basically just like a smaller version of Noodles and Company. It's just all different kinds of noodles. And gun to my head, if I had to eat one thing for the rest of my life, it'd probably be noodles. Either that or rice. Which, you know, adds up when you look at me, because the noodles could just never stop flowing and I would be in.
Yeah, you and my 2.5-year-old son every day. What do you want for lunch? Noodles, mac and cheese, noodles. Do you want anything else? Noodles, mac and cheese.
You know what's crazy is he doesn't necessarily need to have a choice. You could just give him something and he either eats it or he doesn't.
Well, yeah, we usually do. Just give him his food and I have to gaslight him into eating it. But
I've never seen somebody barter more with a toddler than you. Like, you give him 18 different options and he says no to all of them.
No is his favorite word in the vocabulary right now. But if you gaslight him into thinking he can't eat it or won't eat it, oh, Sawyer, that's too spicy. No, not too spicy. and then he fucking houses it. And you're like, yep, gotcha. Gotcha,
I
bitch.
mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything that like, obviously I'm Sawyer's uncle and I love him more than life itself, but I have never been more annoyed than when he tells me I can't sing or dance. Like he'll play a song on Alexa when I was back in Colorado where we were eating lunch, and he's playing some corny dinosaur song that was stuck in my head for 2 days, by the way. I was like, I can't get this.
That'll happen to you.
Yeah, it was, I wanted to jump off the building, but I started dancing and he starts like viciously crying and yelling no. I'm like, what is your deal, dude? Like, you don't have control. My body, my choice. If I want to shake these hips and sing a tune, that's what's going to happen. So that's when I'm like, what are you going to do about it? And I just keep dancing. And then he starts screaming and we have a standoff where the standoff is just me shaking my hips and him wailing.
I'm sure that's a great combo of things that I wish I would never miss in conjunction with each other. But yeah, he does love to tell you that anybody that they can't do anything, or we'll do something in the car and then we'll get inside and I'll do the same thing. He goes, no, that's only for outside. That's only for outside. I'm like, oh, is it?
Yeah, this illusion that he runs everything is going to end quickly if he's hanging out with Uncle Miggs. I'll torpedo him. I'll put him over my shoulder and fucking run him into a wall. No, the only time I torpedo him is when he's dunking on his basketball hoop, which we do have. And he's even started going full John Wooden on me because we ran a basketball play last time I was there. And then he starts telling me, he's like, you go here. And then Grammy goes here. And then I pass to her. And then you pass to, I'm like, brother, I was the one who set this play up. I was the John Wood and you're the Phil Jackson. Like, this is the triangle offense. Get with it, brother.
Yeah, I drew up this play, not you. Step to the back, and when I tell you to go over here, you fucking go over here. Yeah, his love for sports right now is just insane. It's anything more than I could have created and imagined of creating, because it's everything. I mean, he doesn't even finish a sentence. Hey, let's play baseball. Let's play basketball, Dad. And it's just fucking one after the other. Let's play hockey, Dad. Let's play volleyball, Dad. Let's play football.
Remember,
Dad.
You were like, what if he doesn't like sports? And I just don't physically know how that'd be possible hanging out, especially because Kylie also loves sports. So it's not like, oh, well, Dad loves sports, but Mom doesn't. So we're watching, Real Housewives of Simi Valley or some bullshit. It's always on TV. That's all you talk about. That's pretty much your entire life. So back to the soup topic for a second, because I was thinking about this. Isn't it kind of fucked up to just think that broth is just seasoned water?
Yeah, I mean, when I did my 72-hour fast and ate broth for dinner, it was pretty underwhelming overall.
Well, no, but like, you totally think that broth is something completely different than water. You know what I mean? In my mind, there's a huge, vast area between broth and water, but it's literally just seasoning. There's nothing more, and they're like, oh, we boiled down 3 chickens and this is what we came out with, is this stock. And it's like, fuck off. You put like a square of a bouillon cube in there, and that's what it tastes like now. I do have to say, on a golf topic, I played like 27 holes of simulator golf yesterday, and the Sims be simming, dude. I'm playing again tomorrow. It's just, I got time and I have the resources. So luckily I am able to go hit the sim quite a bit, but I think I was swinging pretty hard yesterday, which is sad considering I think I topped out at like 105, maybe 106, cruising around 103, 104 MPH. But I think I hurt my back, and like my lower back, I woke up this morning waddling around and I needed a walker. And then I go to the gym this afternoon, and I don't know why I did this, but I know that you do it and it pisses me off, because then I'm like, oh, that seems like it would work. But rolling your back out is the worst thing in the world. Like, I think I pinched a muscle in the right side of my back now. I know you love the roller, you live by the foam roller, but that shit, I don't know if it's just because I got more weight coming down on that, but it hurts my bones.
No, dude, it's great when you, like, if you cross your arms and roll back and forth and then you get some cracks in there.
Well, you don't have scoliosis now, do you, Chief?
No, my spine is pretty straight, I will say. But no, I don't know how you couldn't like it. To me, it's one of the first things I do. Unfortunately, my new gym doesn't have the foam rollers yet. It's wild. They just don't have them. So every day now I have to go there. And when I go there in the mornings, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do some downward dog or whatever on this mat and stretch out. But when I have the roller, it's a full go on all parts of the body. And then if I'm doing legs that day, I get the quads and the thighs in there and a little hamstring roll. Yeah, I live and die by the foam roller. Although I will say the foam roller that I have at home that I bring to the gym occasionally now is rigid. It looks like something that would, and it's supposed to be where it's like goes out where your spine is, so it doesn't get your back. It gets like the muscle right next to your spine, and then it kind of goes back out. But if you're not dead straight on it, you're not perpendicular to the thing or parallel with the thing, it's not a great feeling. So I'm in a bit of a roller hell right now, although the other gym I go to by work does have the roller.
So it's not ribbed for your pleasure then, is what you're saying.
It's supposed to be, but I apparently don't have the right tricks to get it working properly.
Have you watched any Winter Olympics?
Yes, I have been watching the Winter Olympics. Sawyer's very into the skating, so we've been watching the skating. He was very into the opening ceremony as well, just like the dancing and stuff.
Like the interpretive dance skating?
Yeah, that's kind of what the interpretive dance skating. That's what we got onto last night.
I actually don't even know what it's actually called.
I think it's short track or short something. It was like the short performances.
Speed skating. I'm talking about like the mixed doubles, I don't even know but where they are. I mean, that dude doing that backflip was absolutely bananas and landing on one foot. That is probably, this might be a little bit of hyperbole, but one of the most athletic things I've ever seen in my life. Like,
yeah, them doing anything and it's just like me watching hockey because I can't physically skate. I'm like, these guys are playing a sport that I can't even do the basic thing. The basic requisite of playing hockey is skating on the ice.
Like the equivalent of walking.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. It'd be like playing golf, but you don't have arms. You can't even swing your arms. You're just, you got a club like glued to your stomach and you just have to rotate.
There is a guy that he's born with some defect, unfortunately, where I think he has like one arm and it's very short. It's like maybe like the length of a hand. But he pins it up underneath his armpit, and dude's a baller. Like, I think his driver's like 60 some inches long because it has to be long enough to come all the way up into his armpit. But that's how he hits all of his clubs, and he actually stripes it because you think about it, there's no hand play in there. It's all rotation. Like that dude rotates more efficiently than anybody in the world on the golf course.
Just the rotation is peak from this guy because he can't really get handsy with it.
I wish that's what I could do with a lot of my instructor, my students, is tell them to turn their hands off for about 10 minutes and just feel what it's like to actually turn your body instead of just the fucking flip at the bottom. So speaking of golf things, kind of cleaning up last week a little bit, I saw a lot of hate for Colton Oast on social media. Like, do you think, and it's kind of more of an overarching thing where now I think golf is going more into like a get off my lawn, gatekeeping. Like we want Nick Faldo. We want these old school dudes. We don't want the younger guys commentating. And I don't know why they don't necessarily like Colton Oast. And I also feel like people on the internet just decide not to like somebody, and then they find other people that feel similar and kind of like ride that, and build a following off of that. Like the anti-shallowing guy on Twitter that's just has two brain cells that he's rubbing together. And I want to get into that. Remind me about Chris Gotterup and the shallowing thing afterwards.
Big shallow.
But yeah, Big Shallow is in shambles right now because Chris Gotterup has a steep downswing. But do you like Colton Oast as an announcer? Like, what do you think of, and Johnson Wagner as well? Like, I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, no, I think I'm in the boat of we're the next generation of people watching golf, the mid 30s to younger that actually tune in to these golf events. Obviously, we do all the time. It's our job and we talk about it on the pod and stuff like that. But I think anybody that's tuning in that's newer to golf, you don't obviously know that Colt Knost and Johnson Wagner were PGA Tour players if you don't know who they are. But just from the strict commentary of it, I love them. But it's very much a gatekeeping. I want Jim Nantz calling this with like his voice and the normal tone versus Knost and Johnson Wagner, who have a little bit more fun with it, which I enjoy. And I just think that they're the perfect bill, just like Kevin Kisner. Now, not every player has as good of a personality as they do, but I love the guys that were out on tour but weren't world beaters, and they know that. And that's where like there's a lot of humility in the way they talk about the game of golf, but also a lot of fun that they bring to the broadcasts. And did you see the little snippet of Jim Nantz showing Colt Knost where his desk is in the CBS studio? That was great. It was a little Twitter video, but it was like Colt Knost walks in and Jim Nantz is, being very Jim Nancy and just nice to him. And he shows him where his little thing is. And then Colt goes, these computers, there's like a lot of screens and these are kind of high. He's like, we're going to have to, and Jim's like, we're going to have to get you a booster seat on this fucking chair. Just like, it's just wholesome content. And that's what I think the greatest thing about Johnson and Colt is they bring a more, and Smiley Kaufman as well. They bring we theoretically could still be on this tour if we were grinding hard enough, but we're announcers now, not like your Brandel Chambleys. That's a very other wing way to go about it.
We should talk about that as well. The biggest major of them all, the Players.
Yeah, I think I tweeted about it, but it's basically, okay, what tournament can live players not play in that we have to then boil it down to, okay, the Players is the tournament where there's no live golfers, just PGA Tour players. It's at TPC Sawgrass. It's the penultimate major of the year. That doesn't even count and doesn't go on Wikipedia as somebody's major wins.
I mean, I will say that Michael Kim replied to that take and said, I would be more proud to win the Players than the PGA. And then he said something like, I've never came close to either. Like something funny like that. But for an actual PGA Tour player to say they'd rather win the Players than the PGA Championship, I feel like that's a little short-sighted. Just simply from a legacy perspective. Like they don't ask how, they ask how many majors have you won? Ricky Fowler has won the Players, has never won a major. Do you look at him differently than if he would have won a PGA Championship? 1000%. So I just don't even necessarily think it's a conversation. And I actually think this year, with it being at Aronimink, I want to say, I think that's a legit like championship style golf course. I don't think we're getting your typical run of the mill PGA Tour venue. So I think the venue kind of adds some legitimacy. I don't know if you would agree or not, but I was actually listening to Jeff Ogilvy on Colt Knost pod earlier today, talking about, because Jeff Ogilvy's gotten into the design game. He's helped design a few courses in like South Carolina, like one that's super, super highly touted. It's actually a 36-hole facility that's kind of meant to be like an Australian type, where one of the 18s is more like Parkland and a little bit more treated, and the other one is more sandy and a little bit more natural. But anywho, Ogilvy, oh god damn, I just got totally derailed off of my thought. I derailed myself. What was I saying about Ogilvy?
You were talking about him on Colt Knost podcast.
But before that,
I don't know. You literally went to Jeff Ogilvy on Colt Knost podcast and then started talking about how he designs courses.
Yes, I'm sorry. He was talking about how he thinks that the tournaments are the pull of professional golf, not the players. And like the tournaments themselves, regardless of who's playing in it, should be the allure to these different tournaments. And while I don't necessarily 100% agree with him, I do think that there is some sort of truth to that. Like in my opinion, it obviously depends on unfortunately they don't play a lot of like legendary stops on the PGA Tour every year, but regardless of who's playing at TPC Scottsdale, that's going to be a watch, because that is somewhat of a spectacle. But like Riviera, I would watch Riviera. I mean, if there's a college event at Riviera, I'll fucking turn that on Golf Channel. It's not necessarily as much. I mean, obviously we're watching these players play good golf, but it's more what the tournament does and how the course sets up and things like that. That's kind of the venue, the stage that makes it for these players. So I didn't totally disagree with him, but it just kind of brings up a crazy way of thinking that I had never considered.
Yeah, see, I think I'm on the opposite side of that coin, where I would watch the Valero Texas Open if Scottie and Rory and Tommy were all, or even the John Deere Classic, things like those smaller level tour events.
But you watch them anyway.
Well, I'm much more invested. Like the Waste Management's a little bit of a tricky one, because it's kind of the first tournament of the year where a lot of the guys were back in it, and it was just a really big field, and it has a history there. Of course, the 16th hole, a lot more to it. But to me, I watch for the guys. Like I'm much more interested when the field is, and the leaderboard especially, is maybe one or two guys sprinkled in that
we need to clip that. I watch for the guys.
Yep.
Didn't
that's
realize
me.
we were a sand volleyball podcast.
No, but I don't care about the golf course as much and the actual event itself. Obviously the majors, if you take them out of it, just your run of the mill weekly PGA Tour event, not even the signature events. If you have a good leaderboard, that's what I'm more interested in the players wise, than if, you've got 4 tour players all ranked in the 70s vying for their first win, like Peter Malnati's or guys like that. Like that doesn't interest me near as much if there's not a kind of a powerhouse name at the top of the leaderboard. I'm just mid in that way. I'm just mid golf, amateur, big amateur.
Here's a question that I think kind of encapsulates it perfectly. Would you rather watch the PGA Tour, the top 20 guys on the PGA Tour play in middle of nowhere, Kansas, at some municipal 18-hole golf course, or would you rather watch the top 20, say, Canadian Tour guys or PGA Tour America's guys play Shinnecock? Like, what would you choose?
I think I would choose the top 20 PGA Tour players in Kansas.
See, that I just think that's an incorrect take.
Is Jeff Ogilvy only saying that because he was never one of the guys that was appointment television and he just showed up there and he was dominant at the shitty events?
No, he was appointment television. I actually think he's electric. He was number 3 in the world at one point. So, I mean, he was not, I definitely don't think he gets quite the love that a lot of other guys get, but he was very good in his prime. So he is going to be out on the Champions Tour in like a year and a half, I guess. And I think he'll be in contention out there, but these guys just get old. I think just these Aussie guys are awesome, because he's actually the, captain for the President's Cup, the International President's Cup team this year. So
nice. Okay.
That's kind of why they had him on to talk about it and all that stuff. So that'll be pretty fun. And I will say that the international guys as of right now are balling. Like Siwoo Kim's on a heater, Hideki Sands, AT&T shot. Now I'm using your vocabulary. He's playing good golf. There's quite a few dudes. Sungjae Im hasn't even really, he's hurt. So I think he's maybe coming back this week. But like even this week with Pebble Beach, I almost watch for the golf course rather than, obviously the play matters, but the golf course itself, like I would watch much lower level golf on that golf course than the best players in the world play some dog track. I don't know. So it was just a fair point that he kind of made there. But I want to talk one more time about this Chris Goddard thing, because it's gone all over social media that he doesn't shallow the club. And he is a very steep downswing and this and that. And yes, he does have a steep downswing. And I want everyone to hear me and hear me now. He has a steep downswing. He shallows the club late in the downswing. He's also hit probably hundreds of thousands of golf balls over his lifetime. The amount of timing it takes with a steeper downswing to consistently have a good strike. I'm similar. I have a steeper downswing as well. I've hit a shitload of golf balls in my life. I have not perfected it, but I've made it very effective. Like, you're not teaching an amateur that plays once a week or once every 2 weeks that move that's like, oh yeah, all you got to do is practice for like 5 to 7 years and you'll have it down. You're teaching them something that they can effectively take out on the golf course and make work for them in the next 3 to 6 months, practicing the correct things. But you're never going to teach something that doesn't effectively make sense for everyone, and everybody's different. Like, I'm not saying it's just a one size fits all. Yeah, there's steeper backswings and there's people who naturally shallow the golf club, but you're never going to see somebody teach an over the top move and be like, yeah, just do that. So like Victor Hovland, he's got a super unique, super inside takeaway, super close. His hands shoot out in front of him in transition. He hits a butter fade, like it's a butter cut. But would I teach somebody to do that and do it over and over and over again, depending on their skill level? No, I would not. So, it all depends on the effectiveness. But at the end of the day, like, I don't need to shallow it. At some point, the golf club always gets shallowed. If you hit it on the center of the face, the club is shallow enough for the entire sole of the club to get on the ground. So at some point, you are shallowing it. But there's guys who do it earlier in transition or later in transition. Chris Gotterup gets the club to parallel. His hands basically go down and out in front of him, and then his hands continue to shoot out. It's like I watched the sequence by sequence of his golf swing, and it's crazy how late his hands shoot out away from the target, which is something that you would not necessarily teach a tour pro to do, but he does it super effectively and also hits this huge fade as well, but he can draw it too. So he can kind of work it both ways, but he definitely hits a huge slice, which I also had to watch again, that approach shot he hit on 18. That was 60 yards right of those bunkers at TPC Sawgrass. And just thinking about how Hideki had the entire continental US to the right and decided he wanted to hit it left into those church pews. So brought up some sour memories for me. But yes, Chris Gotterup is not shallowing the club early in his downswing. And yes, it works for him. That doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. That's just flat out the fact of the matter. So I'm sick of people coming after he doesn't shallow this, he's super steep here. Like, you clearly don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest keys is that I think we've said this on the podcast multiple times, and we'll just continue to beat that drum, is golf instruction that's not tailored to you specifically and in person, or whether it's, sending in a video of your exact swing and having a coach look at it. It's not for everybody. It works for some people, but just because it works for Chris Gotterup or Jim Furyk and his unique swing that he's had over his entire career and won a ton of golf tournaments with, doesn't mean it works for you. And it doesn't mean it's the easiest path for you to get to a better, more consistent golf swing by using whatever kind of tactics it is. Real quick, before we get into the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, player profile, what the fuck Wednesday, all that good stuff, I want to talk a little bit about my golf game, because you've been repping these sim rounds and rocking it and shooting like 10 under par, your +8 handicap or whatever you got. I played some real golf last Friday, and it was one of the weirder rounds of golf I've ever played. Great company, met some good dudes. I really love just meeting some new people and that are fun to play golf with. It ended up being a great time. It's perfect weather out, all that good stuff here in Colorado. Quick side note, they have gone, all Denver courses here in Colorado have gone to walking only for the foreseeable future and made it like a thing. That's how good. Crazy dry it is. Yeah. But none of these.
That's the way it should be. And if you're able to walk, then more power to you. But if you're not willing to walk, then just don't play golf. It's fucking February.
Yeah. And we did it was cart path only when we went and played. So not terrible. I sometimes though, with certain courses and the way I hit it, seemingly always on the right side of the fairway or in the right rough, and the cart path's always down the left side, it's not conducive to my golf game. It's almost better for me to just walk. But dude, I hit like a fair amount, probably a handful to maybe more of really good golf shots. And I also had the cold tops. I cold topped a driver on 5. It was the first time I'd hit driver all day, and I was hitting my 3-wood like an absolute menace. But I cold topped my driver into the water on 5 at Inverness. And then I had probably 4 or 5 shots with either driver or mostly off the tee. I never did this with an iron or a wedge where it didn't get 10 feet off the ground. And in the middle of the summer, obviously I would have been freaking out playing in February when I haven't played with my semi hand injury and whatnot that I've had over the past couple of months. I was pretty happy to just be out there, and I ended up making do with some of these tops, actually like making some fun pars with a top shot. But it was wild because I don't know the last time I've done that. The shanks, I've gotten the shanks. That's something that'll creep into everybody's golf game if you play long enough. And I can't talk about the shanks on the golf course. But yeah, and I don't know the guy. I don't know if it's like a osmosis thing or whatever, but the guy we were playing with, he also started topping some shots before I did. So I don't know if it rubbed off on me or what the story was, but I overall hit the ball pretty well. Had some good holes, some bad holes. It's February, but the pure cold tops where you can't really pinpoint what the fuck is going on are kind of terrifying. Not my favorite thing to deal with.
Yeah, I honestly can't say that unless I was like blacked out, that I've topped quite a few shots in years, in probably the better part of a decade and a half. And I guess it's just something that, happens. Clearly you're a pretty good player and it happens to you, but I just don't physically know how maybe I've swung the club too many times and I just naturally know where my body needs to be, but it is actually like hard for me to top it, which I will say we made that video with Will Young at what was that course in Wisconsin?
His course or where we played?
No, not Whistling Straits, Black Wolf Run. And remember we did the topping challenge off the AT&T and I hit it like 6 inches.
Yes, I do remember that.
So, but in that case, I mean, the ball was like a good 6 inches outside my left foot in front of my stance. So I'm just not quite sure how you line up to a golf shot in a normal position and then just decide you're going to top it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a decision. It's just a thing that happens.
You do some of the most questionable shit on the golf course, not even intentionally, just like I have no idea how you're physically capable. It's such a roller coaster. It's basically like watching Hideki Matsuyama. Unless you're in a clutch spot, which I've since said that you've clutched up. You've got that clutch dad gene in you now. I think becoming a dad made you realize there's things more important than golf and kind of made the moment a little smaller for you. You used to kind of put that moment on a pedestal and then just piss down your leg. So I think now you're a clutch golfer, but just going out with you for a regular round, it's truly like whatever. There's a bingo card with about 15 things on it, and you might hit every single one of them that day. It is truly alarming, and it kind of makes me. It's fun to watch, but it makes me like a nervous wreck being a part of it.
Yeah, you don't know if I'm going to hit a 7 iron from 205 to a foot, or if I'm going to hit it into the water right in front of me, or the next fairway, or snap hook it. And yeah, it's my golf game.
It's a box of chocolates, to say the least.
It's the epitome of a box of chocolates. All right, let's hop into the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am coming up this weekend. Once again, the first signature event of 2026. For those of you guys that don't either follow along with pro golf, welcome to the show. I don't know why you're watching this, but thank you. And the signature events there's 8 events a year that the field is significantly cut down. So if you watched last week, the Waste Management, there was roughly 143 golfers, I want to say, was it? They obviously ran into the issues, of course, again, of daylight this time of year. So there was multiple rounds that didn't get finished or had to be suspended.
That was another joke last week. Like, they make the field sizes smaller and they still can't finish a round of golf. That was wild.
Yeah. So the Pebble Beach Pro-Am and every signature event has the top 80 players in it. Rory McIlroy, the Masters champion and current number 2 player in the world, along with current FedEx Cup champion. Still insane to say. When I was typing that in the title and thinking about it, I was like, how insane that Tommy Fleetwood, after never winning a PGA Tour event, won the FedEx Cup last year. Still awesome. So those guys are making their debut, and Rory is the past champion of this event. He's the defending champion going into Pebble Beach. And I would say, even though that this is a signature event, so it's already stepped up in terms of the money and the level of competition that's in this, Pebble Beach and watching a golf tournament at this golf course, I think is top 5 venues on the PGA Tour. Just an amazing golf course. They get to play. They play one round at Spyglass Hill, so you'll have some interesting leaderboards to start depending upon where guys are playing on Thursday and or Friday. But Pebble Beach, I think, truly just is. Everybody talks about Bandon being the elite spot, but Bandon, I think, is just a little bit more accessible than Pebble Beach, and a little bit more, Bandon's more realistic to go play. But I think Pebble Beach, a lot of people that have played it or want to play it, it's the top course that's not Augusta where you're never getting on. It's a course where it's definitely a bucket list item and a great golf tournament to watch.
Yeah, I definitely, this is one of those tournaments where I absolutely watch it for the golf course partially. I know that there's going to be big names in contention down the stretch, and by the way, I guess the weather for these practice rounds has been a nightmare. And so it's supposed to be nice Thursday, Friday, something's supposed to kind of blow in Saturday. And then I guess Sunday's supposed to be a rough one. I guess it's supposed to be windy and cold and hopefully rainy. Like, we could see an absolute bloodbath on Sunday. So that would be electric. You throw some weather in off the shore, off the beach right there. But yeah, I always look forward to this week. There's this stretch of California events in Arizona that you're like, okay, this is sick. Then you get into some of these Florida events in like March, and you're kind of like, like not my favorite, but I'll watch it. And then you get to the summertime where you can start to play in Middle America when it's warm enough everywhere else. And that's when it kind of like ramps back up in my mind. But this tournament is always this week, and then Riviera next week, which did not play last year because of fires, I want to say.
Didn't they play back-to-back events at Pebble?
No, they played at Torrey. Yeah, they played at Torrey Pines. So really looking forward to this week and next week. I think it's back-to-back Siggy events, if I'm not mistaken. I think Riviera is a signature event as well next week. So hopefully I'm not wrong, but either way, the purses are a little bit inflated, and the field sizes have shrunk, which I know everybody loves. So it is also a signature event. Just what scheduling on their part, just make back-to-back weeks, 2 Super Bowls for these guys. But I'm very much looking forward to it, as always. Phenomenal event. And I hope the weather fucking blows like crazy. That's really one of the most fun things when you get a PGA Tour event where the weather is dog shit and these guys can just hardly break par. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, and this is a famous U.S. Open golf course, so a lot of players. There's been. What is your thought on that in general? Do you think, I'm going to take this in a little bit different direction, but do you think a course like Pebble Beach, I mean, it's such a good track that it's nice to have it every year and then also have random US Opens at this course. But do you think that takes away a little bit of the appeal? Like major courses, I'll make a statement, you react to it. Major golf courses should be played only for majors.
That I would generally say yes. Pebble feels like an exception because it is indeed like a public golf course, and it is someplace that everybody can kind of play. So I think not highlighting it kind of does everybody a disservice. Whereas you come up to the Northeast, like for the US Open, a lot of times, and you've got Oakmont, that's super private. You have Shinnecock, you've got Winged Foot. You've got all these courses in the Northeast that nobody has the chance to play. It's got that prestigious country club vibe, but Pebble doesn't really, similar to Torrey Pines, where it is a championship course that's hosted majors, but it doesn't have that same uppity stuffiness that a lot of the usual US Open locations are at. So I would generally agree, though, like when you only get to see a course once every 4 or 5 years, then it definitely adds a little bit of allure to it. But everybody's so familiar with Pebble already. And I actually saw somebody tweet that they've considered, I don't even know if this isn't necessarily they've considered doing it, but it would be pretty cool, is taking Pebble back to the natural way that it was kind of played like 50, 60 years ago. Because that's what they did to Pinehurst in their redesign, recently in the last 15 years, I want to say. They took all the Pinehurst used to be all basically rough and fairway, and they took it back to its natural state of like that wire grass and a lot of sand and dunes, and not dunes, but sandy areas and pine needles and shit. And a lot of people, I don't know if have you seen the old picture of number 7?
I don't think so.
It's super cool. Like literally it's the green and well, this is obviously at Pebble Beach. It's the green, and then basically everything around it is one giant bunker with a little bit of grass kind of here and there running in between it, but it's basically like a beach with the green kind of sitting in the middle of it, and it looks way more natural and like kind of like the hole was built by nature almost. Now it's definitely gotten to be a little bit more manufactured and nice, but I think that would be pretty cool to see it. Oh, even if it's a couple holes, just go back to a lot more bunkering, a lot sandier, because it is truly, when you think about it, like if it wasn't next to the ocean, it doesn't have an ocean feel to it.
Oh yeah, like
yes, yeah, isn't that cool?
yeah, it looks like snow. Obviously, it's a black and white photo, so it's old as shit. But that very much has the old way. Very much has that Whistling Straits type of feel to it.
Yeah,
Whereas
like
the down
waste
down lower,
bunkers and
obviously,
shit.
a much more beautiful. Can you imagine just being the green mower on that gets to go mow 7 green at Pebble every single day? What an elite job.
Yeah, that there's certain golf courses in America where I'm like, maintenance here wouldn't suck so bad,
No,
If
and then you do it and it would suck. It'd be a job, just like anything
yeah,
else,
that's
right?
true. A job is a job, no matter how you slice it. But when you get to see natural beauty like that, I'd be like, you guys, I'll pay you to just come mow these greens because I enjoy mowing that much. But yeah, the Pebble Beach maintenance guys, and that place is always in top tier shape. The greens are perfect. It is. There's plenty of moisture out there. Let's put it that way. So they have no issues there. But it always seems like a track that all these pros love to come play. Yeah, I mean, it's a bucket list one for me as well, without question. Like, and the cottages behind 18, the hotel looks unbelievable. Just everything about the experience. I think we need to maybe make a California trip at some point.
I love that. We'll go play the Cal Club. Shout out Will Manning. Go play there and then play Pebble, and that'd be an elite 2 days. Real quick, super side note before we get to your player profile this week on one Garrick Higo is how close is Aronimink to you?
It's in the Philly area, so it's not super far.
What are we talking here? Give me an hours.
Like an hour and a half to it's 73 miles.
Oh, okay. It's not
right
bad.
now. It says a 2-hour drive. It's on this like the west side of Philly.
Okay, cool. I just was
in
curious.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
The PGA Championship being there this year, obviously, a little bit of ups for Philly. World Cup out there. You've got a lot of stuff this summer coming to your general neck of the woods in the northeast part of America. So I just wanted to check in on that.
I actually do have a buddy down there near this golf course that I think I could get us on at. So we might have to try to make that happen.
Oh, I love that little Aronimink.
Well,
light.
we could get Oliver's boss to get us on it or on. Well, I don't know if he could probably get us on there, but it's with it being a major venue, I don't know how long the setup and teardown is for that. They probably have it closed basically the entire beginning of the season. So, but yeah, that would be. I think that Aronimeng's going to be sick.
Yeah, actual juice to a PGA Championship. All right, let's get into Mitchell's player profile this week. Once again, signature event, only 80 players to choose from. One of your boys did pretty well. I watched him hit a few shots at the Waste Management. I forget which guy it was.
AJ Ewert.
Yes, Ewert. He was like 4 or 5 under. Decent showing for the boys of the player profile realm. But this one is going to be Garrick Higo, who lesser known player, but when you're in the top 80 on the PGA Tour and you're getting into signature events, you've got it going. You've got it going a little bit.
Yeah, he's an interesting case because he's one of those guys where he feels like a lower level tour player, but he's won twice on the PGA Tour. He's won 6 times internationally. So, and he's only 26, stands at 6 foot. He's 185. He's a southpaw. And I don't know how many weeks I'm going to be able to do this with the signature events because so many people know most of the players in signature events, I would say. Like there was maybe a guy or two where I'm like, I don't really know much about them. But Higo was kind of one I wanted to do a deep dive on because he's from South Africa. And he's the guy now that has the luscious flowing locks and just wears random hats. And the hats are pretty electric. I think now so one of my tidbits on him was he's now sponsored by the Palm Tree Club. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Or this is the hat that he wears like every week on tour now. It's a club in Las Vegas. It's a pool club. So
just like a hotel beach club scenario?
Yeah, like a pool club, like a DJ hotel club at I'm not sure which hotel. But fun fact, so I mean, not a whole lot about his childhood is out there other than when he was like in his early teens, I want to say, or like late adolescence. Him and his family got in a car accident and his dad passed away. His mom, his mom, his sister, him, and his dad were all in the car and only his dad passed away from it, whatever happened. But that is obviously horrible. We know what it's like to lose a parent at an early age. But you know, I wouldn't call it a silver lining, but Gary Player, a fellow South African, kind of got a hold of that as well and reached out to Garrick Higo, and now they're super close. And he actually talks to Gary Player super regularly because I guess Gary Player lost his mom at the age of like 9 or 10. So they kind of like bonded over that. But I think that's pretty cool just to hear like Gary Player, because a lot of people think he's kind of an asshole to just take care of, you know, his native countrymen in South Africa and really kind of put Garrick under his wing. But his dad was 6'10", which is fucking insane. I mean, the fact that Garrick is only 6 foot is his mom must be like 5'2". But his dad was 6'10" and played rugby. And so Garrick really liked rugby as well, played rugby growing up, but then he broke his arm when he was 12. His elbow was like protruding out of his skin. And his mom was like, absolutely not. We're done with this shit. So then he pretty much leaned into golf full time. And then basically by the time he was 17, he was the #1 amateur in South Africa. So he was a super good player in his teen years. And the crazy part is it sounded like he really didn't even pick it up in like intensively until like he was like 12, 13. You know, he wasn't one of these kids competing out there at age 8, 9, whatever. So he kind of picked it up early teens. And then by the time he was 17, he was the #1 am in South Africa. And then he qualified for the U.S. Junior Amateur at that point and lost in the semifinals to Matthew Wolff, who we all know, the loopy backswing from Oklahoma State on the Live Tour now. But then UNLV offered him a scholarship. So, I mean, you know, you can't really turn down UNLV when they're offering you to go there for free. So he goes there, but he only goes for a year because he knew he wanted to come back to South Africa. And he immediately turned pro when he was 19 or 20. And he was playing on the Big Easy Tour, which is founded by Ernie Els, which is really cool. Like that is their South African mini tour, is the Big Easy Tour. And he turned pro, got out there and missed his very first cut. and basically said, like, I didn't doubt myself for a second. I knew this was my path. And then he goes out and wins the next event on the Big Easy Tour, works his way up to the Challenge Tour. And this is all while he's 19, 20. Like, he's very young. And that's what I find interesting is you hear about all these young kids that like work their way up, but it's a much bigger story. Like, we haven't really heard that much about Garrett Kigo. You know, he hasn't done a whole hell of a lot on the PGA Tour. He's only won like two. Well, he's won twice, but they've both been opposite field events, I want to say. They're not, you know, mainstay PGA Tour events, but regardless, like, for him to have 2 wins at this point and only be 26. So then he made it to the Challenge Tour right when COVID hit. And so then he had to stay back in South Africa for a bit, blah, blah, blah. But then the Challenge Tour, which is like the Korn Ferry version of, or the Korn Ferry Tour to the DP World Tour, they did a co-sanctioned event in Portugal in the summer of 2020, which, so he didn't even have European Tour status at the time, and he wins that event, the Portugal Open, at the age of 19 or 20, I think age 20. And so then he gets a full-time DP World Tour card. And then the next year he goes out on the DP World Tour, struggles a little bit the first few months, but then he wins twice in 3 weeks and qualifies for the 2021 PGA Championship at Kiowa, where I think he had a decent showing, enough of a showing to where Jay Monahan invited him to the what tournament was it? The Palmetto Championship, which is not really a thing anymore. I feel like it was one of those that they did during COVID or like after COVID. It was kind of I don't know. I really don't even know, but I know it doesn't exist anymore. But then he goes and wins the Palmetto Championship on a sponsor's invite and gets his PGA Tour card. So he's been out on tour since he's 21. So he's almost kind of a bit of a veteran on the PGA Tour, which is shocking. He's made $7.5 million out there, but it still feels like he hasn't even really like scraped his ceiling of what he's capable of. So he plays out of Sea Island, Georgia now. Oddly enough, I had no idea. He was the 6th best putter on tour last year. And
damn hot with the flat stick.
Yeah, and he drives it really well too. His approach, his strokes gained approach was like 150th on tour. So it sounds like if he just can smooth out those irons a little bit, then he'll be in a pretty good spot to continue to win. But yeah, he's probably one of the least known names in the field this week. So I just had to get him out there. I don't know if I would sprinkle a top 10 on him or not. He's probably got some of the highest odds in the entire field. But he just plays well in random spots. Like, he had a down year 2 years ago, but then actually had a pretty damn good year last year. I think he had 4 or 5 top 25s. So he's one of those dudes where you don't hear his name a lot, but he made $1.5 million last year. Like, he's out there making a good living, so you can't really knock it, you know? But
yeah, coming up in South Africa, this is the first one we haven't gotten the full silver spoon treatment. So that's nice. I like that you took that realm, that path on this player profile of Garrett Kigo.
Yeah, it really didn't detail much about where he played growing up. I know his family, when his dad passed away, they moved down to near Cape Town, which is the capital of South Africa. But have you ever actually, because Garrett mentioned this in this interview, have you ever heard that Cape Town is similar, almost got a similar vibe to like Napa Valley, and there's like a huge wine country in South Africa?
No, I know, I guess I've heard of Cape Town, but I didn't realize it was that kind of vibe.
Yeah, no, right outside of Cape Town, there's lots of vineyards. I actually sat next to a dude on a plane. When was it? Probably 6 months ago, that was flying from Newark to Denver, and they were coming back from Cape Town, and they did they went there specifically, like they did a safari, but then they were doing wine tours pretty much the entire time. And he said the wine is crazy good. It's super affordable. Like, you can go to these wineries and drink all freaking day for $50, and they give you a whole charcuterie board and a bunch of wine. So, I mean, a little off the beaten path, but I might have to look into that.
Love that. Well, let's give our picks for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Drum roll, please.
Bang. There they are. For those of you listening, I am minus 12 units. Don't like saying that out loud. I maybe just keep going. Sahith Theegala couldn't even get me a top 10 last week and get my units made back. But shout out to him. Shout out to me for being down 12 units. Mitchell plus 1.7 units thanks to his Super Bowl anytime touchdown Seattle Seahawks last week. But we decided to go with a consensus pick this week. We both had the same guy, so he's going to miss the cut indubitably this week at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. But Victor Hovland, he is boosted plus 3,900. Great value on Victor Hovland to have that boosted by the Bet365 app. I'm going to ride with another. I'm going to try in any way I can try to find winners this year and try to get my units back that I've lost already. But last year, in the last couple of years that we've been doing this, I've had an issue with guys that I pick them and then the next week they do really well. So last week I picked Sepp Straka. He had a terrible Thursday and actually had a decent Friday and stayed on the weekend and kind of found himself in the top 25 or 30 at the Waste Management. But I'm going to go with some good play at the later on in the weekend, and the fact that he's played pretty good here at the AT&T at Pebble Beach in the past. So Sepp Straka to top 5 at plus 800. And then I'm going to go Akshay Bhatia plus 400 to top 10. He had a great week last week as well. There was a few chances I thought he was going to win the tournament. He had some shots to win the Waste Management. It was very close. Finished out there in the top 10. So I'm going to ride Akshay Bhatia at plus 400, which I feel like is great odds for the top 10 pick. And then my one and done is going to be the owner of Pebble Beach, or the guy that's played the best here over his career. I'm just grasping at straws and going for the obvious picks, but I'm going to go with the Aussie Jason Day for my one and done.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like Jason Day a lot. Obviously, I've got him to top 10. I don't know if he's got it in him to get the W, but he's always played very well at Pebble. He's got a great track record. I was debating Rosie, but I just don't. I think Rosie top 10s. I just, the odds are in a similar spot. Justin Rose is another guy. I picked him in my one and done, but he is another guy that just plays really well at Pebble. Loves the place, has won out there before. And then Andrew Novak plus 16,500. If I can get 165 units this week, I will. That is one big unit I'll be walking around with. I'll need a wheelbarrow for that unit. But Novak played really well here last year. He's always really good on the greens. He's got a great short game. And I think he's just one of those dudes where you get a really windy day. I am going to say this about Andrew Novak. I don't feel like he goes super low. I said that about Scottie Scheffler, different story, and I'm also an idiot. But Andrew Novak doesn't go like crazy low a lot, but he is very, very steady and knows how to grind out rounds. He's just a grinder, old school type of dude. So if the weather gets shitty, I like having Andrew Novak on my card. And then, like I mentioned, Justin Rose and my one and done. I just feel like I have to use him at some point this year. He has a great track record at Pebble. I know he just won in his last start, so I don't expect him to, at least it wasn't last week. Like, what are the ramifications on a guy winning and then taking a week off and then winning again? What do you think that's possible?
I mean, it just depends upon the player, but you never know. Sometimes a week off is good for, you're getting close and grinding and making yourself money, but sometimes taking that week off could refuel you,
For sure. And just one thing that I've also thought about, I don't know if this is a dumb brain thing on my part, but people don't realize these guys play these courses every year. Like, these guys know these golf courses so well. So when they play really well, you're like, that is impressive. But very rarely, that's why it's so hard for rookies out there, because they've never seen these courses before. But if you send all these guys to a course that they never laid eyes on and had them play one round and then go out there, it would probably be a little bit harder. So I think that is an advantage that a lot of these PGA Tour guys have. Justin Rose has been playing Pebble for the better part of 2 decades. So, it's crazy when you think that you're like, oh, I would shoot, 95 if I played this course. So it's like, what if you played it 80 times? Then how do you think you do on it? You know what I mean? It's just one of those where you don't really think about how often these dudes, especially these tour veterans, have played each of these courses. So there's definitely horses for courses, and this is one of them. Having said that, Would I be shocked to see Scottie go out and just bulldoze everyone this week? No. That, like I mentioned on Monday, I think he's plus 275 to win, which is just disgusting. If you're putting money on that, then you're a true sicko. I did consider using him in my one and done this week, but I just don't. I want to save him for. It's just one of those where you want to keep your best bullet in the chamber for a bit. You don't want to fire it early, and then I'm fucking picking the bottom of the barrel by the end of the season. So I do want to keep him in the holster, but I do think there's a good chance he goes and just boat races everyone.
Yeah, and the DraftKings has caught up. There's some other sports books that do the without Scottie market, and now I think either FanDuel or DraftKings finally they have the without Scottie market. You've made it in professional golf when they do a without you market and let people just fire away on those, which is kind of fun. It's kind of a fun bet to take. Real quick, wanted to get to, before we get to WTF Wednesday, Charlie Woods has committed to Florida State. It's kind of insane to think that he's that old. I feel like kids, when you see a kid, right, and it's somebody else's son or daughter or whatever, and they're like 5 years old, you go another 5 to 10 years and think that they're still 5 years old. And then you see them and you're like, whoa, dude, how you went 10 years and I went 5 years, or that's what it feels like every single time. And him committing to college, kind of insane to think about that he'll be like. I think what's funny about him is just like LeBron, or Bronny James, I should say, has the most insane amount of pressure on him that you could ever imagine. But I also I think he's good enough, but I don't think as of right now, it's not like there's kids, I think we talked about it a little bit. There's that kid in college that shot 62 a week ago.
Jackson Coyven.
Yeah, there's kids out there that are just so silly good that nobody really knows who they are. Obviously, everybody's going to know who Charlie Woods is, so it'll be interesting to see how many tournaments he plays at Florida State. If he competes there, they become an ACC powerhouse, or if he's just kind of another college golfer just with the greatest genes of all time. But I want to shout out Karen, mother of two, Karen McGee on Twitter, just a complete shit poster account. But when they posted that Charlie Woods was going to FSU, she tweeted, John Daly loved getting drunk and smoking cigarettes. Son goes to Arkansas. Tiger Woods loved pills and white women. Son goes to FSU. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, folks.
That is a fact. I'm just curious. Obviously, we know he could have easily gone to Stanford if he wanted to.
You think so? You think he's smart enough to go to Stanford?
You don't have to be smart enough if you're Tiger Woods' son.
True.
Tiger could build a new wing at the school for them. You don't get shut down. He could virtually go, I think, almost anywhere. I don't think anyone, unless the coach maybe doesn't think the juice is worth the squeeze. But Florida State's got a great golf program. He's actually going to be teammates with Miles Russell, that 16-year-old fucking prodigy that's been playing some unreal Korn Ferry golf and shit these last few years. So he'll probably go to Florida State and get boat raced by that kid. But pretty electric. Also, just the fact that the Seminoles, I think, have the best logo in college football. That's probably my favorite logo, maybe of all time. It's very, very classic, very good.
All right. Well, little Florida State Seminole, Charlie Woods. All right, let's finish up this pod with a WTF Wednesday. We do this every single week on Wednesday. My WTF Wednesday is, I got a call from Xcel Energy, or a pipeline company, like a week ago, and didn't answer it. I don't typically answer calls that I don't know the number of. Left a voicemail, realized I need to call them back. So funny enough, my gas meter at my house, as we found out when the gas was off at our house and dealing with this whole water heater thing when we moved in, the gas meter is technically inside my house. Not really, but it's inside an area where the garage used to be, that's kind of hidden by all there is essentially is a vent. And so this pipeline company that's been contracted out by Xcel Energy, who does our gas and all that, is they have to move the gas meter outside of the house. So I'm, dealing with having a kid here in the next next Thursday is the last possible day I won't have a second son on the way. But now these guys, I have to meet with them. They come over. They are going to explain to me what they're going to do, which they have to cut the wood of the side of my house or this part that it's hidden in to get it out. And then they have to remove it and repipe it and move the pipes and move the gas meter somewhere else outside of the house. So very interesting. I'm like, what the fuck is this going to mean for my house? Is this going to mean?
Is this costing you anything?
No, I don't believe it does. It shouldn't. If it does, then it's going to be my WTF Wednesday the week after I have to pay that bill. But yeah, so I'm very interested to see. I think they've called me twice when I'm on this fucking podcast. They're just not leaving me alone. But basically, I got to figure out how to get this gas meter outside of my house and what that's going to do to my house. We have to turn the gas off for an entire day. So kind of a shit show brewing here. Hopefully it goes very smoothly and these guys can relocate it easily. But I'm just concerned that it's going to be everything that I think is not going to be a big deal then turns into a big deal. And I'm with this addition of a second child and being home for the next couple of weeks in a row on the way, no gas or any gas issues is not going to be at the top of my priority list. Let's put it that way.
Do you guys have gas detectors at your house, like natural gas detection things?
I don't think so.
You probably should get those. That would be good. They have them at Home Depot. I'd stop there on the way home.
What are those called? The
CO2 detectors?
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of the other thing. What's the other thing that they radon? Yeah, maybe radon.
Yeah, whatever. But either way, you just need to make sure you've got those. I think though that because you guys just bought your house, I think they have to have them in there to pass an inspection. So, but I could be wrong. So maybe double check that just so that there's not gas floating around the house. My WTF Wednesday is, why the fuck do people put their Venmo handle on their window for a bachelor party? For I was driving on the highway and I saw somebody, we just got engaged, buy us a drink. Who's gonna buy? I wanted to Venmo them $1 and be like, you drive like shit.
Didn't you do that once? Oh no, I was with Sam Gibb in Austin. We were at the bachelor party in Mesquite and somebody had their Venmo handle on and he Venmoed them in front of us and said, get to the fucking right lane.
Oh my God. That is so good. You're just opening yourself up for abuse. And I don't know, unless they're going old school where, you're flashing them out the window or something, if it's a bachelorette party. Not saying that has to be done, but other than that, who random people are just going to Venmo you for no reason to buy you a drink? Everybody has bachelor parties. In this fucking economy, I'm not buying any random person driving on the highway a fucking cocktail.
Yeah, I would say from that realm, there's a way to look at it. But at the same time, that crowdfunding shit can be insane. If you drive past 1,000 cars and each of them sends you $1, you got 1,000 beans, it's power in numbers. So I see their logic there. It is a little insane. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people that do that kind of stuff get a fair amount of money.
Also, what if you heard of a fatal car crash on the highway, right around when you were on the highway and they see their phone and your Venmo handle's halfway typed out and then they hit a fucking guardrail? You got to live with that as well. You don't need people Venmoing you on the road. So I don't know. It's just a very pick me. Oh, we got engaged. Everybody does that for the most part. Oh, I just graduated from college. I didn't do that, but a lot of people do. It's just very unnecessary. Post it on fucking Facebook. I don't care. Post it somewhere where actual people who care about you can see it. Because otherwise, unless you're going to go park it in your mom's driveway and be like, hey, mom, you want to Venmo me for, our engagement or whatever? I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong. Whenever somebody asks for free shit for accomplishing basically nothing, kind of turns me off a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah, I have a problem with it. So I just wanted to air my grievance there. I will never do it. And you're just opening yourself up to getting shit on for your driving, basically. Imagine requesting money from them. That would be funny. be like,
I'm almost out of gas. I know
I
you've
just
gotten
missed
some
my
Venmos
tee
in the
time
last hour.
following your dumbass in the left lane, $95. Like, yeah, I think my rant's over now, but I just had to get that off my chest.
Incredible. Love it. Well, we appreciate you guys all tuning into this Wednesday hump day edition of Big Drive Energy. Pebble Beach Pro-Am, first signature event of 2026, kicks off tomorrow. I think we're going to be our schedule's up in the air for me this whole next week, but I think we're going to be going live on Sunday as the leaders come down the stretch. That's kind of the plan. We won't have a pod next Monday, so check us out on the YouTube this weekend. On Sunday afternoon, we'll go live as the leaders hit 15, 16 during the event. We're looking forward to it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Make sure you're following us on all socials at Big Drive Energy, Big Drive Energy Golf on Instagram. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Sunday afternoon. Peace.